Okay, this is Wednesday, what was May 10th? No, was it? That was 9th. Today's the 10th. Wednesday was the 9th. Okay, so Wednesday, May 9th. Notes. Law of cosines. So in law of cosines, you would need to have these two things, SAS or SSS. So basically, if you know two sides, good chance that you can do law of cosines. Now, if you know two angles, like this, you can use law of sines, proportion. There's only one, which is the SSA, that you can do law of sines. It's the only time that you know two sides that you can't use law of cosines. But sometimes you just have to draw the triangle to see what you have and see if you have the required information. But most of the time, if you have two sides, you can do law of cosines. So these are the formulas you're going to use. Now, these are not calculator ready. So in order to get rid of a square, you're supposed to take a square root. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you this formula so that it's calculator ready. So it's A equals the square root of all of this stuff. So if you're solving for side A, that means that you were given, let me do this with a pencil here. If you're given side B, side C, and angle A, that's what SAS means. Everything's in the corner. It means you would solve for this side A over here. So you have to use the information that's circled here to help you find that. So you would take the first side, then the second side, and it doesn't matter which one goes first. I just write them alphabetical for the formula. Minus 2BC cosine of the given angle. So it's BC twice, and then you have cosine of A. And you just punch it in the calculator, and you get your answer. So if you're solving for side B, that means that you would be given, erase these. In order to solve for side B, you would have to be given this information. Everything up here, SAS. And if you're solving for B, you would write B equals the square root of, again, you're taking the sides that you know, A squared and C squared, minus 2AC times the cosine of big B. So if you're solving for side B, you will always be taking cosine of the big B in your formula. And the last one is side C. So if you're solving for side C, you would have to be given angle C and the two sides that form it. That's what SAS is. And that would be C equals square root of A squared and B squared minus 2AB times the cosine of C. Those are the three formulas that you would use to solve for the third side. So if you're given two sides, solve for the third side by using one of these. Now there's three other formulas that if you're given SSS, if you're given three sides, so let's use this triangle again. If you're given all three sides, that's this one, and this one, you can solve for any angle, and you're usually supposed to solve for the largest angle first, but you just solve for whichever angle they tell you to. But if you have a choice, you should always solve for the largest angle first. However, let's just say we're solving for angle A. We're solving for angle A, we're going to take this formula right here and we're going to derive it. Okay? So it's cosine A equals, write this down because you can use this on your quiz. To solve for angle A, you start by, you're going to have three sides squared. All the sides will be squared on the top, but the one that you subtract at the end is the one opposite angle A, which is its smaller case A. So you subtract A squared at the end. But the other two sides, B squared and C squared, go at the top. So it's B squared plus C squared minus A squared over 2BC. So you're going to punch this in your calculator. You just have to remember that anytime you have more than one number, factor or term in the top or bottom, you need to group this in your calculator and group this. You're going to get a decimal, and then to get rid of cosine, you're going to take the arc cosine of each side. So you're going to press second cosine of this decimal to get your angle, which we'll practice here in a second. If you're solving for angle B, the one that you're subtracting, the side that you're subtracting is little b, because you're solving for big B. Subtract little b. That means the other two, A squared and C squared, are going to go here, and the A and C are also going to be on the bottom. And if we're solving for big C, angle C, you subtract little c, A squared plus B squared, 2AB. So write all these down and you can use them on your test. Just remember when you're punching in the calculator to put parentheses around all this stuff. Now, you can only use law of cosines one time to solve for a triangle. And then you have to use law of sines after that to help you find angles. And then if you know two angles, you can use the 180 minus the other two angles to complete finding the third angle. Again, when you're doing SSS, you're supposed to find the largest angle first, or just find the one that they ask you to find. So, example 1, solve this triangle. Let's draw it out. We have A, B, C. Angle A is 39.4. Side B is 12. Side C is 14. So this is considered SAS. Everything's in the corner. So the side that you're going to solve for is side A. You're solving for that side first. Okay, it doesn't say solve for A, but you have to solve for the third side first. So our first step is solve for side A. Side A. And to solve for side A, you're going to use law of cosines. So we're going to go up here to the top right here. See this A right here? I'm going to write down this formula. A equals square root of B squared plus C squared minus 2BC cosine of A. And then we're just going to substitute in. So we're going to come over here. You can look at the triangle, but it's actually easier to look up here. Like when it says, what's B squared? Well, B's right here. B is 12, so you're going to go 12 squared. What's C? C is right here. C is 14, so you're going to go 14 squared. Minus 2 times 12 times 14. So use those numbers twice. Times cosine of the given angle, which is right here, 39.4. And we're just going to punch this into our calculator. So before we do our calculator, let's just make sure that this calculator needs charging. Let me do that real quick. Just a second, I'm charging this calculator. Alright, so let's make sure we're in degrees. Everyone go to mode, press mode right here. Make sure that your calculator says degrees. That's the first thing you should check. Okay, now we are going to punch this in. So can you see this? It is the square root, so press second x squared. Get a square root in there. If you have an old calculator, you need a left parenthesis right now. I don't think I need it, but we'll see. 12 squared. As long as the square root stays over top, you're good. Plus 14 squared. See how the square root's continuing? That's a good thing. Minus 2 times 12 times 14 times cosine of 39.4 equals, and that's your answer. Now, we're rounding the nearest tenth. The 6 that's in the hundredth spot rounds the 9 to a 0, and that 0 rounds that to a 9. So this is going to be 9.0. Side A. Okay, so we're going to put that in here. Now, if you want to solve for an angle, now we're going to do law of sines, which means that you would cross multiply with the ratio. We have 9 over sine 39.4. And then let's say we're going to solve for angle B. Do the B ratio. That would be 12 over sine B. And you would cross multiply. So it's 12 times sine 39.4 divided by 9 equals sine B. Now, because it doesn't say it's equal to B, you're not going to be done when you get this answer. This is going to be a decimal. And to get rid of sine, we're going to have to do arc sine to get rid of it. So let's get to that point. 12 times sine of 39.4. Close your parenthesis. Press equals. And then divide that by 9. All right, so see this decimal right here. This is not your angle. We're solving for angle B. So right now, it's 0.846 equals sine B. Okay, that's what you have right here. To get rid of sine, you have to take arc sine of each side. That gets rid of that. And you have this. So to press arc sine of this decimal, you press second sine, like that. See that little negative sign? That's arc sine of the decimal. Now you can either press second negative, or you can go up and highlight. Like I just highlighted that by pressing up arrow, pressing enter, and it brings that decimal down, and then press enter again. And it's 57.8. Whoops, that's hit my thing. So angle B is 57.8. Okay, now I'm going to put that in here. Okay, it's hard to focus here for some reason. I think it's because the calculator's on here. Oh, there it goes. So that's 57.8. And then if we take 180 minus the other two, you get your third angle, which is 82.8. So we're not going to solve the whole triangle for any of these other ones. I just wanted to show you one time. So in this one, we're just going to draw this out. This one's an SSS. C is 22. So we are going to solve for an angle here. So you can solve for any angle, but it does say if you have a choice to solve for any angle you want. So let's just solve for angle B. Let's go for angle B. So if you're solving for angle B, this one right here, this is having a hard time focusing here. You're solving for angle B. Why is this not focusing? Let me press my focus button here. Okay, there's angle B. So if you're solving for angle B, you're going to come up here to this formula right here, cosine B one. This one right here, cosine B. You're going to write all of this down on your paper. Okay, cosine B. So it's going to be cosine B equals, subtract little b squared, 2ac, and then you're going to plug in the numbers. Okay, so look up here. Look up here. So a squared is 19. Why is this not focused? Something's in the way. Okay, so you're going to have 19 squared plus c squared, which is 22 squared, minus b squared, which is 24 squared, over 2 times a times c. Okay, so you have this. Before you punch it in the calculator, you need parentheses. Okay, so let's do it. We're going to get a decimal. So we're going to go 19 squared plus 22 squared minus 24 squared. Parentheses. Oops, I didn't do parentheses. Oh my gosh. I gotta go back. I gotta insert. Second insert parentheses. Okay, and there's my parentheses. Parentheses. Okay, so there we go. Divided by parentheses 2 times 19 times 22, which is 0.3217. Okay, so now cosine of b is equal to this 0.3217. Okay, so to get your answer for b, you have to take arc cosine of each side. So you're going to press second cosine. Since I went highlighted last time, I'm going to do it a different way. I'm going to press second, and then I'm going to press negative, because right above negative is the answer. And it looks like this. This is called the previous answer. That gives you that decimal. And you press enter, and you get 71.2. And that's, I'm not going to find the other ones this time. We're just going to go with the angle. And that's all I'm doing right now. So that's the front side, and that's good enough for the quiz.